Students, today we are going to learn a new chapter. Our chapter's name is Coordinate Geometry, and the first topic will be Introduction and what are quadrants. To locate the position of an object or a point on a plane, we require two perpendicular lines. One is horizontal and other is vertical. I have drawn a vertical line as well as a horizontal line here. You can see. Now, since there are two lines, we can give name for these lines. The horizontal line, it is called the x-axis, and the vertical line is called the y-axis. I'll mark it in the figure also. This will be your x-axis and this will be your y-axis. Now both the lines, perpendicular lines, that is your x-axis as well as your y-axis, they meet at a common point. We can name that point to be O. This is the common point you can see. We can name it as O. O means the origin. So two perpendicular lines meet at a common point and the common point is called origin. Now the distance of a point from the x-axis is called x-coordinate, and the distance of a point from the y-axis is called y-coordinate. Another name for x-coordinate is abscissa. Another name for y-coordinate is ordinate. If abscissa of a point is marked as x and ordinate of a point is marked as y, then any point on an xy plane can be written in the form ordered pair xy. Within the brackets, we write the coordinates. We read it as ordered pair x and y. And this ordered pair x and y together are called the coordinates of the plane x and y. Now the coordinates of the origin will be ordered pair 0, 0. All these things you have learnt in your smaller classes. The same thing, we are just brushing it up. Any point on x-axis can be represented as x0 and any point on the y-axis can be represented as 0y. In the figure, here if you see, this is the x-axis. Any point on the x-axis, I can represent it as x0. Any point on the y-axis, I can represent it as 0y. And this point will be ordered pair xy. So, what did we learn till now? On a plane. What is meant by a plane? Any flat surface is known as a plane. On a plane, I have drawn two perpendicular lines. The name for one is x-axis, the other name is y-axis. X-axis and y-axis meet at a common point known as origin. Now from the origin to the x-axis, we can write the number as x. We can call it as x-coordinate. Another name for x-coordinate is abscissa. Any point from the origin to the y-axis, we can write it as y, or you can say the distance from the origin to the y-axis can be represented as y, and then it is known as y-coordinate or ordinate. X-coordinate, another name is abscissa, y coordinate, another name is ordinate. So any point on an xy plane can be represented as ordered pair xy. If I draw two perpendicular lines, the plane is divided into four parts. This is your y-axis, this is your x-axis, this is your origin. You can see this is the first part, this is the second part, third part and fourth part. Each part is known as a quadrant. So what is meant by a quadrant? When two perpendicular lines divide a plane, it divides into four parts. Each part is known as a quadrant. How many such quadrants are there? 4 quadrants. Which are the 4 quadrants? First quadrant here, second quadrant, third quadrant and fourth quadrant. Then how can we put the signs? This is actually your number line. So here you are having numbers 1, 2, 3. To this side it will be -1, -2, -3. Upwards positive numbers, downwards negative numbers. So on the first quadrant, see the first quadrant. On the first quadrant, your x-axis is positive and your y-axis is also positive numbers. So ordered pair xy. What will be the signs of ordered pair xy? Both will be plus and plus. On the second quadrant, ordered pair xy is equal to, what about the y-axis? It is our negative x-axis, then positive y-axis. On the third quadrant, the signs for x and y will be negative and negative. Negative x-axis, negative y-axis. On the fourth quadrant, ordered pair xy, signs will be positive and negative. So these are the different signs for the quadrants. On the first quadrant, we are having positive and positive numbers. On the second quadrant, we are having negative and positive numbers. On the third quadrant, you are having negative and negative numbers, and on the fourth quadrant, you are having positive and negative numbers. Based on the signs of the x-axis and y-axis, on each quadrant, you can write the symbol. This is our first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. So how can you write the sign here? X-axis is positive, y-axis is also positive. X-axis negative, y-axis positive. X-axis negative, y-axis is also negative. And in the fourth quadrant, x-axis positive, y-axis negative. So quadrant and its signs, 4 quadrants. Each quadrant has got its own sign. Then there is a note. XY axis. XY axis, the other name for XY axis is coordinate axis. So XY axis are also known as coordinate axis. Then father of coordinate geometry, the person who invented coordinate geometry, we call him as René Descartes. So XY plane, the plane on which we drew x-axis and y-axis, it is otherwise known as coordinate plane or Cartesian plane. Cartesian means from the name René Descartes, since he found out coordinate geometry, XY plane is otherwise known as coordinate plane or Cartesian plane.